So it's time to plug it in and see what it looks like when it's on. I've plugged the machine in right here, and the foot pedal goes right there. When I turn it on, you're going to see the screen light up a little bit. One thing you can do when you get it yourself, the machine comes with a cover on it. You can take all the plastic off, so it looks a little nicer. You also have the bobbin case area, which we didn't go through before. To take the bobbin out, just pull the lever and away it goes. I'm going to take the foot off so we can clean the machine. I'll show you how much you can take apart to clean the machine. Needle is out. I'm dropping the feed dogs. I have the bobbin out. There's a little lever on the side right here that you're going to push, and the race comes out. Then you pull the hook out. To take the throat plate off, you're going to notice what looks like a little bullseye right in the corner. Push down hard on that, sometimes harder than others, and it comes up. Now you're all open and ready to clean. You have the brush that came with the machine you can use, or you can use whatever else you have that is a clean brush. If you have a micro vacuum, it really works the best. But don't forget to clean this out on a regular basis. When you're oiling, you just want one drop of oil right down here on the silver area. That's the only place you need to oil this machine. When you're putting the hook back in, you can see it looks like a half moon. When we push, or I'm going to actually tilt the machine back a little bit so you might be able to see it, the other half of the moon is right here. You want to make that a full circle. When you have this in here properly, it sits on its own. Sometimes it's easier to do it with it pushed back just a little bit because it gives it a little gravity to hold it in the back position. Now that's in there. I'm going to push this up. Hear that click? Love that click. Make sure it's pushed in as much as possible, and that's going to be ready for your bobbin case to be back in there. The throat plate goes back on opposite the way you took it off. So if you put it in on the left side in first, and then just push it down. When you put your feed dogs back up, they will come up when you take your first stitch. It didn't come up right now. To wind your bobbin, we're going to go, this is cross wound thread, so I'm on your horizontal spool pin. I'm going to go behind the first guide. There's an arrow right here showing you which direction to go. And if you put a little tension on here, it fits in the tension disc really easily. And so you have sort of a figure eight right there. The bobbins are really good because they have kind of a grippy area in the center. You don't have to put the thread up through the hole anymore. You're just going to let those grippies work. So when I put that down, there's another arrow right here that shows you which direction to start the winding of the thread. So I'm just going to wind this around 2 or 3 times. There's a thread cutter on the back of your bobbin winder. I usually just pull that and away it goes. And if you keep a little tension on it, it actually goes a lot easier. You can either let it fill itself all the way, or you can push it if you only need half of a bobbin. So that's it for the bobbin here. So now that we've wound the bobbin, we want to put it back in the bobbin case. Let's make the bobbin look like a number 6. The thread is coming off the top, coming over to the right. It looks like a number 6. Drop it into the bobbin case. There's a slot right here. It'll find its own way into the slot. come over through the tension disc into the hole right here. When I'm pulling on it, it's going in the clockwise direction. That's how I know that the bobbin is in there correctly. When you put the bobbin in the bobbin case in the bobbin area, the stitch finger is up. Put it in so that the little latch is parallel to the table, and hear that click. There's a thread cutter right here as well, so all you need to do is cut the thread and close it up. There's also a thread cutter right here. So we're now going to thread the top. We've unwound it from the top tensioner. We're going to keep it behind the first guide, right back here, following the arrows that are on your machine. I'm going to go straight down, follow it up, around. It catches in the take-up lever that's right here, straight down, behind the guide, the first guide here, and there's a guide right here. To use the needle threader, I'm going to pull the threader down with my finger, catch the thread, push that threader down really hard, and make sure that it comes around the needle right here. There's a slot right in the side, and we're going to make the thread go in there. When I pull it around front, it's going to go in the side, that little slot, and I'm going to hold my thread up at an angle. Very gently let go of the left hand, this right here, and don't forget to let go with your right hand. And there it is. The needle's threaded. To put your foot back on, I have right now the number 1 foot, the zigzag foot, is on my shank. I'm going to put it up in the side and push the little lever forward. So that's how we take it apart, clean it, put it back together, thread the machine, and wind the bobbin. Now we're going to start stitching to find your different stitches. You have your stitch card right here with the B335. There are actually 115 different stitches on here, but the only numbers that show on the front are 1 to 0. So if I go to stitch number 2, which is a zigzag, it's going to show on the screen here that I'm on stitch number 2. It has preset my stitch width, which is the top one, my needle position, which are all these little dots right here, my stitch length that's right here. It's going to suggest to you which presser foot to use for this particular stitch, although there are a lot of choices. The machine only knows a few of them. Right now it's going to stop with the needle in the down position, but if I hold this needle up down button in, it's now going to stop with the needle in the up position. If I want to get to any of the stitches, the other stitches, say the 72 stitch, there's a pound sign right here. When I touch that, you now have 2 dashes. Put in the 7 and 2, and it's automatically set for stitch number 72. You also have stitches in the hundreds. To get to there, we're going to hit the pound sign until the 1, oops, I just hit it twice, and then the 1 came up, and then I'm going to hit in another 1, 1. So now I'm on stitch 111. So it's really easy to make your way around to get to any of the stitches, and this stitch card is very handy. So let's actually put some fabric under there. For today's purposes, I'm not actually going to use the foot paddle. I'm going to use the button and show you how the slider works. It always works best if you actually have the thread underneath the presser foot when you start. So I'm on stitch number 1 without the foot pedal. I'm just going to hold it until it starts going. This slider will make it go faster, and that button will stop it as well. If I want to make any changes to this stitch, we have our stitch width. If I follow these dots right here as I play, it's showing that the stitch width is going to get wider. If you look right here, I'm going to move the needle position. This one you actually have to punch. You can see the needle moving. There are 9 needle positions. And right here is the stitch length. It's already preset at something, but I'm going to change that. And you can see how I now have my stitch length longer, my stitch width at 2. So I've now changed a straight stitch to a zigzag, even though I'm still on the straight stitch. So I've gone from straight to zigzag just with the 1 stitch. To get this back to the factory setting, and what tells me the factory setting is, you see it right now, there's a little blinking light. I don't know if you can see that. There and here. That's actually the suggested factory setting for it, but it's going to do what I told it to do. When I hit the clear button, it goes back to that factory setting again. Now, if I want to, I can play with these things while I'm sewing. So I'm going to start out with a straight stitch with the needle position in the center. I'm going to go slowly here just so that we can get farther on the fabric. If I want to, I can actually play with my needle position while I'm sewing. I can play with my stitch width while I'm sewing. So all of that without changing my stitch, but I'm playing with it as I sew. Get back to factory setting, hit the clear button. If I want to get to the other stitches, for this one, I think I'm going to try the pin stitch, which is number 84. I'm going to hit the pound sign and the 8-4. When I start sewing this, you're going to see what this looks like. You can see it looks like a buttonhole stitch. It's facing to the right. The 335 has mirror image. When I touch the mirror image button, you see that it shows up on the screen here. And when you start sewing, it's now going to go in the opposite direction. So we started out, this is the normal stitch. This is with the mirror image on. To turn mirror image off, I either hit the button again or I can hit the clear button. The 325 does not have the mirror image, just the 335. But they both have a lot of fun decorative stitches.